Here we go. It is Cooper Bay's The Vol Report brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. And it is spring practice time. Cooper got a little bit of break in between hitting people, but it's time to hit people again. Are you ready, Coop?
Oh yeah, yeah, super ready.
There you go. So are you one of the guys, I would think being an offensive lineman, you enjoy the physicality of it, hitting somebody as opposed to maybe other times of the year?
Yeah, definitely a lot funner to hit in spring than late in the season. Everything kind of hurts late in the season, but you feel pretty fresh early on in spring, so it's a fun time for a little bit. Just it's football.
Yeah, good point. Tennessee is very fortunate. They have a rock at the center position, and that's you. So I'm not asking you to compliment yourself, but how nice is it to know as a team, do you think, for Josh Heupel, that in the middle, you've got a proven quantity there, that he knows what he can get out of you and probably even a little bit better with a year to mature. That's got to be a good way to start an offensive line.
Yeah, I hope they look at it that way for sure. I pride myself on being consistent and being assignment sound and doing things the right way. So I hope they have a lot of confidence in me. I have a lot of confidence in myself. So hopefully that carries on over to them.
Well, let me ask you this: if something were to happen, or somebody needs first team snaps to get ready for the fall, who do you feel like is heading into the season and headed into the spring? Guys that are kind of battling for reps when if you're not able to go at some point.
At center,
Yes.
oh man, I think it would probably be let down to probably Ollie Lane, Parker Ball, and Bison Lang is a guy that is going to be working at center a lot this spring, I think. So those guys would probably be where the responsibilities lie.
What does it take to be a really good center? Because it's you're touching the ball every time. It's a different position than the other positions on the offensive line. What are some of the keys?
I was talking about this the other day and with some of my assistant coaches or the assistant line coaches, and we were talking about it. It's such a weird position because it's not left guard and right guard. Like you can interchange those a little bit, and right guard or right tackle and left tackle, like those correlate. They are different, a lot more different than people think. But like obviously those positions can play kind of interchangeably. But center, there's only one of them, and like it's just such a nuanced position, kind of like just I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it, but you got to be really smart. Usually you are a smaller guy that's more athletic, probably. There are some big centers here and there, but mostly, you're undersized though linemen that are smarter, a little bit more athletic, and you just got to be really kind of you got to know how to use your body and your leverage well, in my opinion.
Yep. Well said. All right, let's go to right tackle. I don't think there's any question that one of the toughest guys to replace on this team is Darnell Wright. Man, he was just so good. The way he played, his physical ability. There's some big shoes to fill. Who do you think are some of the guys at right tackle that'll be battling for that position and more playing time?
Yeah, it's probably gonna be the tackles. The tackles can all probably go interchangeably, but it's gonna be probably there's gonna be a mixture of John Campbell, Dane Davis, Jeremiah Crawford, Gerald Mincy, um, Larry Johnson is a guy that's coming in and working at tackle. Um, Brian Grant. I mean, the list goes on and on, but the first couple guys I named are probably the guys that I feel will be duking it out for the starting jobs at some point.
So you kind of addressed a little bit both tackle positions. John Campbell, if you look at his size and his athletic ability, he's kind of like a prototypical left tackle. What do you think of him to this point?
I really like what John's doing. He's come in and he's a really good guy. From what I've seen of him and what I've we've hung out and talk a lot. So he's really cool, really fun to be around. A great guy, and further than that, on the football field, we haven't obviously been doing much because it's no spring ball or nothing. But we'll see a little bit more here coming up. But I like the way he moves around just to work out the stuff.
How quickly do you learn if guys are ready to embrace the contact of actually having the pads on and hitting? Because a lot of guys can show up, and the old saying is, "Look like Tarzan, play like Jane," or "He looks great coming off the bus," or there's all there's sayings. But how quickly do you figure it out within a couple of weeks of spring camp if a guy really has that drive when it comes to a physical standpoint?
Yeah, probably not more of just drive, but kind of just along the lines of if I know if they have what it takes to play, I can probably spot that in about a day or two. Like honestly, it's not really that hard. You can see when a guy has potential, and you can kind of tell when somebody's not gonna have that great of a career somewhere. In my
What? Yeah, sure. And I want to ask you to specify when we get into spring camp because maybe somebody would turn it around if they're not living up to that criteria. But you mentioned the two tackle positions are interchangeable, and Darnell Wright did that. He played at left tackle and then went to right tackle. What is it about this offense? Because I've been around other offenses and they say the footwork is so different. It's hard to change sides around the center, but it seems pretty commonplace. And you just referred to it. Why is that?
I think it's because probably our coach has a lot of faith in our guys being able to change if need be. He wants to put people in the right positions to win, and the right positions for them to win, and the right positions for our team to win. So, he kind of comes from the standpoint that no one's above the team's needs. You know what I'm saying? So if for the team you got to switch, then that means you probably got to switch. You know what I'm saying? So that's probably why it wasn't best for our team. Uh, the 20 like when Darnell played left tackle that year, Darnell was probably better at right tackle in in his regard, but Cade was probably better at right tackle that year. So it was better for our team, and Cade was not as good as at left tackle. So it wasn't good for our team to have Cade at left and Darnell at right. It would have been better for our team to have Cade at right and maximize the potential of both of those guys. So that's kind of an explanation if that the example makes it make sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. At left guard, you've got a host of guys that could step in there. I know one guy that I hear good whispers about is Andre Couric, and he just showed up, so I'm not gonna instantly name him a starter or anything. But talk about that left guard position. What you think of Couric and the other guys that are going to be battling out at that position?
Right. Yeah, Andre, I have talked about him probably on here before, I think, but
Hmm.
he's a really good guy, and he takes his craft and the game very serious, and is always watching film and stuff. So he's got that part down. He's really athletic. Probably a little bit more athletic than me. Maybe I don't even know, but he's one of those guys that's not huge, but not small by any means. But he's more on the athletic side, and I like where and he goes with it and how he plays.
Who are some of the other guys you think battling for snaps and time at left guard?
I would say Ollie Lane and Addison Nichols would probably be guys that I would think about fighting for that spot.
Yeah, but let's talk about Nichols. So he didn't play much last year, but he was an early enrollee, a guy that was highly touted, highly recruited. What is it about this current time that you think he may be ready to take the next step?
Mainly, if you look at his body, if you've ever been around Addison, he's huge, and he's built really well, especially for a younger guy. So that's the main thing. He's really strong, really built, big guy. If he can just, if it's hard being younger. There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff to take care of, and it's hard to line it all up. But if he can figure that out, then he'll be great.
Yeah, I think it took me about 2 months just to find out where all my classes were when I was at UT,
Yeah.
and realized that I was going to be walking a lot. You do learn a lot, and I know you guys have support, but still, a freshman's a freshman. At right guard, it seems pretty simple, right?
Yeah, Sprags has been starting for 2 years now, like
Mhm.
about every game. So, yeah, that seems like it's pretty cemented, but yeah.
I don't remember us talking a lot about Spraggins and just kind of what. he brings to the game. Seems like we talked about every other offensive lineman except for him. What do you like about his game from what you've seen playing with him these past couple of years?
The main thing you see is him just playing hard. He's a really energetic guy, and doesn't really ever get tired. He's always in the mix. So I would say just him playing hard. He finishes very well. So yeah, yeah, that's the main things about his game.
Yeah, and he won a I think he won offensive lineman of the week last year. I think it was against Florida. So there's a guy that you can certainly lean on in that right side. And how much can let's start with him, and then I want to ask the same question about you, but how much can he help a newcomer, whoever fills in for right at the right tackle spot? How much of uh, can he help somebody move along quickly and adjust to that role?
Yeah, I would say that it would just start with him, physically. That's the biggest thing is he's always gonna be there to, get the job done, and he's always in for the mix. So that's always gonna be good to have. As a right tackle, you got to have a strong guard to help you out at all times, and then B, the mental part of it. He's pretty assignment sound, knows what he's doing all the time, and he's getting it more figured out as we go. But learning how to make some of the calls for his side too. So it's good.
You said that you wanted to be more of a leader heading into this season. Well, in some ways, if people want to look at it, the first quarter of the off season, or the first quarter of the season is over with being in the weight room, getting ready for spring camp. As you look back, how would you evaluate yourself as a leader in the first quarter?
Give myself about a B plus.
A B plus is good, but why not an A?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's hard, man. I don't. It's hard to grade yourself, man. Analyze yourself. I feel like it's always going to be a biased point of view. So it's hard, man. You can't
That's
go too
true.
high. You can't go too low.
But is it more natural to you, since we're talking about a lot more younger guys that are unproven? It seems like it would be natural for you to step into that role, just knowing your personality.
Yeah, it's gone pretty naturally. I mean, I think leadership is more about how you carry yourself than a lot of things, and I think I carry myself the right way, and I do stuff. I try to do stuff the right way, most of the time, all the time. So if I'm a good example for them to look up to, and then they have, I've built credibility up. So a lot of people, look at me with a little bit of, at least a little bit of high regard for what I say and what I talk about. Because if I say something, then it's probably worth listening to.
It's pretty cool transition too. Year one, well, I'm gonna go back 2 years ago, not year one, but you go back 2 years ago and you're struggling to play healthy. Go back before that, and you're playing a multitude of positions, and then you become an all SEC type of center. It's been a pretty neat progression. Do you have an opportunity, or do you choose to look and say, "Man, I've come a long way," or do you wait for those types of thoughts till after your career's over?
I think there's times to look at it. It's not just in the daily part of the grind. You know what I'm saying? You kind of get lost in the shuffle sometimes. Day in and day out, you're doing the same stuff over and over. So it's hard to see growth and stuff in yourself, if that makes sense. But when you beat Alabama and stuff like that, that's sometimes like that. You kind of look back on it and you're like, man, we've come a long way. So
Now, I thought you were going to say manhandled Alabama, which you guys did. I was went back and watched some of that game recently, and man, you guys performed incredibly well up front on both sides. When you go back and look at that game, how much of is that? How much is that a confidence boost? Saying if you can go against Alabama and a guy that was on my Heisman ballot in 2021 in Will Anderson, you can go toe to toe with anybody.
yeah, I think it just goes back to what Heupel says. There's levels to the game, and it starts at like you hope you win, and then or you think you're gonna win, you hope you're win, you're gonna think, I don't know exactly how it goes, but it ends up with the final one being you expect to win. And that's what great teams are, is when they go out there and they expect to win. So, I thought we kind of got to that level last year where we went out there every game and expected to win no matter, who it was. So that's where we're trying to get back to and stay there.
It's good stuff. He's Cooper Mays. It's brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, 50 years in Knoxville. That means integrity. That also means that with City Heat and Air, maybe you don't need a whole new HVAC unit. Maybe you just need a part or some coolant. Well, they can take care of that. City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. The Vol Report with Cooper Mays, a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.